All right. Hi, everybody. This is Jen with my Wild Bill t-shirt on because we are here with Kevin Valcke. He is a physical therapist and he specializes in shoulders and, well, swimmers. I came to him because of a shoulder injury I had a while ago, and he helped me a whole lot with exercises to warm up my shoulders before I got in the water. And now he's helping me. It was pre and post surgery with my little shoulder surgery this fall. We're here at the Alan McGavin Sports Clinic. It's at the University of British Columbia. It's a really awesome little clinic for, it's amazing resource. And Kevin travels around with the Canadian national team, the Olympic team sometimes for swimming, but also for other sports. He's on his way on Friday to the University Games in Lake Placid to do all the winter sports. So he's multifaceted. So today, Kevin is going to talk to us about what we can do to strengthen and stabilize our shoulders in the off season. He's going to give us 5 exercises that you can use as part of your dryland workout, or you can use in the just before as warm up, or certain ones like that. He's also going to tell us what each exercise does and why it's important to do it. Okay, so we're gonna film him, so the camera may move around. And as you know, I'm not a professional videographer, but we're gonna do our best. All right. So
hey, yeah, so we've got 5 drills. All of them really all you need is a little bit of space, maybe a bed or something to bend over, and then a band. A couple of them are just basic rotator cuff strength stability exercises. And then a couple of them more patterning upper back exercises that we find a bit more specific with swimmers. So some of these things get worked in with a variety of different athletes, but some of the things in particular I like to use with the swimmers that I see. Age doesn't matter, whether it's a 14-year-old who needs strength and coordination stability, or it's someone who's 60, 70 who just needs to keep the shoulders strong. I think generally strengthening the shoulders is a good idea for any swimmer. Keeping full mobility is a good idea. And then trying to keep some coordination and stability is key. So we'll start to go through a couple things. I think we'll start with the 2 or 3 in particular that involve the band. And then I'll show you some other ones I have to hop down on the ground for. But like I was saying, for general kind of rotator cuff strengthening, you want to keep a couple things particularly strong, and typically they're the ones that break down the easiest. And when we start to see rotator cuff issues accumulate, it's pretty consistent patterns, and rehab for them and the prehab for them is pretty similar and consistent. So most people have seen this exercise. It's very common. Typically you'll see it with any rotator cuff rehabilitation program. But it's this kind of external rotation. So there's a reason it's been around forever and will continue to be a staple in these programs, is because it just works, and it works on strengthening the parts of the shoulder that are generally weaker. And especially in swimmers, a lot of pull one direction, we want to train the opposite directions. So what you do is you attach a band to something solid and steady like this. Hopefully it doesn't pull over. And then with opposite hand, so it should be coming across your body, you rotate out. So I'll see some people and they're really fussed on how far out you go. I don't care how far out you go, but what I do want to see with this is that you bring hand all the way to stomach, slowly back in, come out past neutral. It shouldn't be uncomfortable, and you shouldn't be cheating with your body and turning. You should be maintaining a pretty upright, good posture, good position, and then slow back in, a little bit quicker out. And you repeat that. If it's a light band, you might do 15, 20 reps, or if it's a little heavier and you build up to it, you can get to do 8, 10 repetitions with a more resistance on the band. So holding in tighter or using a different band. Both arms for sure. The other way you can do it is just here. See a lot of people just doing this in the gym as a warm-up. Good exercise. I like one arm because then you can go through the full range of motion all the way in. With 2 arms, you're just working the out portion. So it's a top kind of exercise for any warm-up. All these things can be done as a warm-up or just as a standalone kind of like workout series. The band ones typically just from a location and ability. They're easier to use as warm-ups, so you don't have to get down on the pool deck or a docker or anything like that, depending on where you're swimming. So that's called a band external rotation. The next one with the band, very similar. We're trying to target kind of back of the shoulder, posterior deltoid, rotator cuff, and a bit of patterning with the shoulder. One thing with swimmers we often see is they've got this hunched forward position. When they're in the pool, they're in this position. When they're bringing their arm up over, they tend to cause a lot of this impingement irritation in the shoulder. So from a patterning perspective, we want them to be wide open, be strong, using their shoulder blade stabilizers, their scapular retractor muscles, and a lot of back of the shoulder. Instead of getting into this position, they get into this position. So think chest up, kind of open and vulnerable. So with a band, same band, it could be, you just go like this, hold so you're about shoulder width apart. And then we're pulling that band apart right to your chest. Elbows stay pretty straight. You need a little bit of bend, you can. But the point is you finish here. You're not shrugging. You're not letting the shoulders pop forward. You pull apart, stay tall, long, and kind of neutral. So from the front, that's here, not here, not here. So shoulders stay down, shoulders stay back. And same rep scheme, you might do higher rep, 15, 20 repetitions with a light band. This one is a better drill to be doing with a lighter band probably than heavy. You'll see some people do like a single arm in the gym, pull across. Also good, similar exercise. So those are both a really good warm up, easy to do because you just need a band and a couple feet of space. Two other exercises that I wrote down and kind of group them together. You can do either one kind of in a bent over hinged position or over the edge of a bed or a couch or a table or something like that. So maybe I'll show you the hinged over position and then I can show you, Jen can turn the camera and we can do them over on the bed. So the first one is called this Y. So this would be a T, this would be a Y. You want to finish up in this position, which for swimmers is very practical. You need to be strong and stable up here. And so with this Y position, what you're really doing, you're working these muscles in the back that control and stabilize the shoulder blade. Those being poor, not firing well, being weak, they tend to cause a lot of dysfunction elsewhere in the shoulder. So if the shoulder blade's not stable, you're not getting a solid base for that ball and socket joint, and potentially you can be causing a bit of this rotator cuff issue. So get ahead of it, work on the shoulder blade. So what you do is you hinge over, get into a position about as low as you can. I'd rather you not be rounded. So you try to get into like a squat and a hinge deadlift position. Now you can do it with or without the band. With the band, a little bit of tension like this. And then raise arms above your head into a Y overhead. So it's just this, up and down. Go slow, try not to jerk it. It's more uncomfortable than you think. A lot of people want to do something like that. Keep it slow. You're reaching long and tall as you come up and down. So off the bed, we'll show if you turn it here.
Yep.
Like this, arms are fully clear, so you can hang right down. It's a little bit tougher. The more horizontal you are, the tougher it is to lift. And it's up and down just like this. Now you can do it without the band. It's just this. And it's about 10 times harder than just lifting up standing against gravity, because it's more particular to training those muscles at the back of the shoulder. So now the second one, maybe I'll start here and then we'll go back over, is similar starting position. You're in here or you're bent over with or without the band, or I've done it with a stick as well. Well, in Canada here, we use a hockey stick, of course. But what we do is you come up into this rectangle position. So if you see between the band and my shoulders and my elbows and my forearms, it creates a nice rectangle. So in that position, which is a pretty strong, we call it power square in swimming or baseball, you're in this strong position here. And then from there, you want to see if you can maintain that rectangle as you rotate through the mid back. So a bad repetition would look something that just kind of shifts the arms and doesn't actually rotate. So you can see the relevance to swimming with this one. You need to maintain a pretty centered body while getting some rotation as if you're about to drive the next stroke. And the band or the stick, if I can see the stick. It's an old wood stick. And you just maintain that same strong position, pull apart a little bit, and then you try to turn and rotate while maintaining that position.
So your elbows were at 90 degrees?
Yeah, you just think a bunch of 90-degree angles. That's why it's
you're-
called the power square.
And you're gripping really hard and
Yeah,
you're
pretty
pulling
firm.
apart.
Yeah, exactly. And that'll really activate back of the shoulder. What I don't want to see is shoulders dumping forward. That's the number one position we see in swim. And it's the number one bad position we see in swimming. That's very consistent with developing these shoulder injuries and poor patterning over time. Neck, you want to be long and strong. Don't be like I am looking up here, kinked up here. But yeah, it's all about that positioning, not being dropping that shoulder, not dropping both shoulders, not shrugging them up to your ears. Keep it down, keep it back. Rotate from the center of your torso instead of rotating just from flinging the arms
So
around.
your whole, turn around a second.
Mhm.
So your whole back from here all the way across is basically moving with the stick. It's
Yeah.
like there's a stick here too.
Exactly.
Okay,
Everything's moving as one.
yeah, okay.
And that's in the water, ideally, pretty efficiently, how you move. When you fatigue, you break down, strokes get sloppy, you
Mhm.
lose that nice base to rotate from. So over here, if I was bent over doing the same thing. And again, you can do it even without the stick, just like this position. That's the motion. So with the stick, you bend over as much as you can, try to not be dropping a shoulder. Try to not be shrugging up to your shoulders. It's here. And it's rotate. Or like a golf swing, but really in sync.
So you kind of have a stick here and a stick here.
Yeah.
Like you've got a T.
Yeah.
Right?
Think just like total biomechanical
Yeah.
efficiency.
Yeah,
So those are kind of how we would build some of that movement and stability through the torso and trunk.
Mhm.
And then the last thing to make it a nice round 5, one that I really like, and I get a lot of swimmers doing, swimmers and non-swimmers, but after maybe towards the end of the shoulder program, is something down in weight bearing. We like these weight bearing positions because it kicks in and cues a lot of muscles and a lot of good stabilization around the shoulder, which we want. We don't want to just be doing things that fling the arms up overhead. We need to do some grounded type stuff too. Trains the muscles in a little different way. So pardon my inflexibility here, but starting in a push-up position or like a high plank, just doing that might be a good starting spot. And from there, you can do little circles, or if it's down on your knees, same thing, you can do little taps. But anything just in this grounded position in like a 4-point or like a high plank position. And then the goal would be to progress to doing something like this. Everyone's familiar with that kind of yoga downward dog. Jen might have a better demonstration of this one than I can. So I'll have her do it after. But the goal is you go through a bit of movement while in that position. So everything's working, muscles are firing. And then from there, you shoot your butt up. And then all of a sudden the arms are in a position that if we change the body, again, resembles that kind of overhead position. So it's about getting strong and stable in an overhead position with something that's different than just holding a weight or a band.
Mhm.
Do you want to demonstrate?
You can move that if I'm in the right spot. So like what we just did a minute ago with
Yep.
this too. So my hands are under my shoulders, so
Yep.
my arms are straight. And then just,
It's like a push-up coming just from her shoulder blades of a scapular push-up or scapular press. So this is what I just had her to start to do with her rehab. So this would be a good starting spot. You can also just push up and get a strong base and do some small little circles. And then that would be a nice starting spot. Now, I probably won't have Jen do more than just this hold, but just to see someone other than me, this is
I can
a
do
good
this.
position.
Because I won't do it. But I think it's important that the point of this isn't to put your head to the ground, is to keep your arms next to your ears,
Yeah,
right?
and you can do it and be super floppy with the shoulders. But I want her to be actively engaging, pressing away, strong shoulder position. That's the key with this. is to keep that tone and engagement, because when you're swimming, you'll lose that tone and engagement as you go through the next stroke, and that's fine. But here in this exercise, we're trying to build that strength and stability. But you're working through that transition from, now go to push up, going through the transition from high plank, push up position to a downward dog. So you're glued in the whole time with your hands, and the shoulders will have to control from the shoulder blade, from all these muscles that you can't see usually or work. They have to control that motion as you get overhead, and then hold you stable up top.
I think for me, it's really important. I can keep all this engaged if my hands, like my balls of my fingers, are really pushing hard into the ground, because then I don't lose it. I'm not like floppy down here.
Yeah.
That keeps my hands, my arms really engaged.
And it's just something we want to, whatever the sport is, you want to train doing the opposite. And swimming is always, its hands are free. They're not glued to something. They're not on an implement, and they never grip or anything. So I like getting them on the ground, squeeze, really use the hands in a way that you don't when you're in the water. And same with using something like the stick, because then it lets them work on the grip. And when you grip, you get a little more shoulder activity too. So it's about trying these different things that's different from just swimming over and over again.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
So that's Kevin. And you can trust him. He did lots of great things for me before my surgery and now after. And he's slapping my hand when I do too much. So, all right, guys, go out there and keep those shoulders happy.
Bye.